Hey everyone, welcome back to Modern Mindset. Like I promised last week, we're here now to critique my AGF performance over the weekend. And there was definitely some good, some bad, and definitely some ugly. So make sure you stick around and see everything that comes. There were some submissions, some throws, and definitely some goose. So maybe you'll learn something along the way. So we'll start on a positive note. And we're going to cover my overall performance at the tournament. I did 4 divisions, started out with a no-gi divisional match, which is based off weight class of 205, and then I had a absolute no-gi match, or division, where it was 175 and above, we're all in one category, and you all compete for a single position, so to speak. And then I went on to do gi divisionals, which I had 2 matches there, and then I did a gi absolute. And overall, I got gold, so here's the gold medal for no-gi division. And then I went on to get silver in no-gi absolute, and then went on to get a gold medal in gi divisionals, and then got 4th place in the gi absolute. So overall, I did pretty well when it comes to like grading out or getting a ranking, so to speak. I had basically a 2nd place overall finish across all divisions. And my no-gi performance was pretty good in the end of like performance-wise, but there were definitely some flaws there that I could capitalize on. The one that really surprised me, and the one I want to get better at for sure, is getting my absolute gi performance better. I went into that really expecting to get gold in that. I thought my gi was my strongest suit, and I just didn't perform, and there's a couple of things that I can point to that will definitely show the reason why I lost those matches. But overall, I'll give myself a good performance for the overall performance at the tournament, but there was definitely some flaws that we're about to jump into. Forgive me for this browser that's going to look like an ancient dinosaur rolled out of his cave, but I couldn't find anything that could actually shoot or display the actual move type of video from my iPhone. So I'm a tech person, but I guess I can't do everything correctly. So this is the first match I had for the no-gi divisional. And I kind of went into this a little bit nervous. This was my first blue belt competition, and the whole overall match was kind of uneventful for the first like 90 seconds, I would say. It was a lot of just pushing back and forth, doing little snap downs and stuff like that, where there wasn't much going on, and I think we were just kind of feeling each other out. So it was kind of uneventful, so I'll skip through a little bit of this and get to some of the action. Here's a section where you can see a little bit of action going on. I tried to get a takedown on him, which, forgive the guy who's walking in front, but I get a leg. I tried to sweep him down real quick and take his back. I had an issue earlier where the guy just went out of the match, or out of the mat. Let me pause this real quick so I don't lose the spot. But I tried to take him down, and he just kind of rolled out of the mat, so that we had to restart and I'd take him down again. So I was kind of frustrated at this point, and you'll probably hear Tim complaining and saying to not play his game because he was kind of pushing me in the face, poking me in the eyes a couple times. So kind of got frustrated right here. You can see this is definitely a dumb idea. I kind of brought him back to the center of the mat to make sure he couldn't get away. But then I jump on his back like an idiot and get rolled off, and then start playing my guard game and stuff like that. I wasn't too worried, but it was definitely not the brightest idea I had at the tournament. I was trying to sweep this guy for a while. He was trying to pass my guard at the same time, and things weren't too eventful, so we did end up getting back to stand-up right here. Or I guess, no, not yet, but he was very adamant about trying to pass my guard until I did end up getting back up at this next point. So this is actually another point. I was actually about to submit him, but you can see right here, I have his arm separated. Right here, you can see this little arm and I'm about to put my leg over his back in order to Kimura him. But then the ref tells us to go back to the middle of the ring, and I don't get to even get back into that position. So we get back to stand up right here. I was tired of trying to sweep him, and we start going back into the game. I'm not certain why he got a penalty, but he ended up getting the penalty here. I don't know if it was from him pushing me in the face or him running outside the ring, but you can see it was kind of a constant battle back and forth, and I got frustrated here. And we go and get a takedown pretty soon. So I'm starting to get towards his back. I was going to suplex him in a way right here. And I kind of felt bad after because I ended up picking him up, slamming him, but my chin ends up hitting him in the face. You can see right here, I'll roll it back a little bit. Kind of a nice slam. But you can see when I come to the ground, my chin lands right in his eye socket. He didn't like that too much. And I felt bad after the match, but, got my takedown, and then I'm going to go into the guard passing system. I should have waited a moment longer and got the points for knee on belly. That would have gave me more points, but I was in the mood to just take him out and try to go for submissions because I had already gone into the tournament saying that I was going to try to submit 50% of people, and I almost got him there with the Americana. And then right here, I probably shouldn't have done this. I was going for a armbar, but you can see here I have 30 seconds left in the match. I'm barely beating him for mount points right there. But once again, I was thinking about just trying to submit him the whole time. So we go to the end, try to armbar him. I'm not the best at armbarring. I tried to grab his elbow to make it tighter. He slips his elbow out, and then the match kind of just ends like that, and I win by points. Overall, this match wasn't my worst, but it definitely wasn't my best performance out of all the tournaments I've done. A lot of the issues ended up coming with just not being able to take the guy down, and I found that I was gassed after one match where I'm only doing between 5 and 10 rounds at the gym every day, and those are 5-minute rounds as well, but I just felt absolutely gassed, and it kind of carried over into the other matches in the tournament. Here's over the second match of no-gi divisionals, and it was for gold as well, but this is really kind of a boring match overall. It ended up being a 5-minute match of no one getting takedowns and no one going to the ground, so I'm not going to bore y'all too much, and it's really just, once again, to key off on myself. My takedown offense is pretty bad. A lot of my offense is surrounded around trying to basically react to aggressive people, so I try to offer up my leg a lot of the times whenever I'm going to try to let people try to single leg me, and then I respond with a sprawl, or I'll just do a quick move and then take their back. But a lot of the people in this tournament didn't go for anything, like wrestling-wise, didn't go for singles or doubles. So it ended up just being a bunch of me being really bad and trying to basically jerk people to the ground and use my strength, which ended up making me super sore for a whole week. So I'll skip through a little bit of this and get to the part where at the end of the match, basically, no one had gotten any points. You can see no penalty points, nothing like that. So this was basically going to be a match of aggression where I was pushing him out a lot of the time, but I wasn't certain who the ref was going to take in. So like I was trying to let him push me back and forth. I was trying to push him, try to get a foot sweep sometimes. But in the end, it was really just, the ref said, whoever's the most aggressive is going to win. So we go towards the end here. We go to the end. I'm trying to be the most aggressive. He tried to jump a guillotine, didn't work. So I knew I was getting towards the end, and I had to go for it. So we went down to the last 30 seconds here. And I know that I have one last shot to try to take him down, try to earn some points, and try to get the win. So go for the double leg, try to get him. He sprawls pretty well, but I was the aggressor in the instance. So you can see where I messed up because for one, not a great double leg. It was more of a desperation double leg, and he did a good job sprawling, but didn't get any points. But I think this kind of made up the ref's mind. We have 14 seconds left, and I definitely was the most aggressive one. So in the end, so I'm still pushing him around, trying to take his back, stuff like that. Tried to foot sweep him there, didn't work. Match ends, no one gets any points, and the ref gets to decide who wins, and I get the W for this one. So once again, a little bit of a recap. My takedown offense is super bad, and that match was absolutely exhausting. Stand-up's probably one of the most exhausting parts of jiu-jitsu, and kind of one of the gaps in my game. So definitely something that needed to address, and it's going to continue throughout this tournament. This was another pretty good performance by me overall, I think. The beginning of the match still was like the other ones where I was kind of sloppy on the feet, didn't get much. I did end up getting a takedown towards the end. I'm not going to bore y'all with just watching a bunch of snap downs and stuff like that. So we're going to get towards where the takedown happens. I'm kind of trying to turn the corner on him, trying to get his back, try to snap him down. We're getting towards here. I'm going to end up getting some double unders on him, and then I'm going to turn it in to try to get a body lock and basically pull him down to the mat. Basically gets me in a half guard, which I'm not too worried about. I've been actually working on this a lot, where I'm basically going to turn over and end up scooting my foot up in order to try to get out. He did defend for a little while, but I was putting all my weight on him. He was going to get tired, and it really wasn't taking much out of me. I navigated his legs eventually, ended up getting mount again, which is perfect angle for this camera shot for this submission I'm about to hit. So I'm going to end up isolating one of his arms after I basically slow him down. I end up putting the arm behind his head in order to slow him, to kind of get his head off the mat so he can't really post up and get under me. But I'm going to end up isolating this arm right here. So you can see I'm kind of like letting the elbow to make sure I get my knee under it. And I'm going to push his hand out in order to grab it with my other hand. So now that I have that, I have an arm isolated, plus I'm letting him take the knee. I don't really care because I have this Americana. So really all it was me grabbing his hand. I grabbed his hand early on and didn't really care about him getting his leg back because I was really just trying to get my elbow over. And right there. all it takes a little bit of a push. Probably did a little too much, but tournament and, you know, adrenaline's flowing and I get the win. Overall, it was a pretty satisfying match because I had struggled with takedowns in the first 2 matches, and then I ended up getting a takedown here and ended up getting mount and getting a finish. So that felt good. I was still trying to aim to hit all that 50% mark of getting submissions, and I hadn't managed to finish anyone outside of this guy. So it was a good match to go into my final absolute match. So I'm only going to show the beginning of this match like this because just to show how big this guy was compared to me. This guy is literally like 6 inches taller than the referee alone. And then you can see, I guess it'll be hard to tell, but you'll see at the end just how much bigger this guy was than me. But in the end, it still became an issue because neither of us could take each other down. So it ends up being a 5-minute match of just us pushing each other around the ring, and it ends up being boring, so I'm not going to show much of it. But this kind of showed a flaw to myself because I was able to just push people around a lot because I'm pretty strong for 205. But this guy was about 6'4", 6'5", 280 pounds. So I was not able to push him around, and it exhausted me way more than it was worth for. I should have probably just pulled guard or something along those lines. But I'll show a couple of, I'll jump around a little bit here, but in the end, it ends up being kind of the same but reverse situation for the no-gi divisions for gold. This was for the gold as well. But since I wasn't able to really push him around, he was able to really just be the most aggressive and ends up winning in the end. So you can see he's just kind of pushing me around. I try to do some stuff to try to take him down, try to do some snap downs, but it's just not good technique, and in the end, it's just not going to work against someone who's bigger than you, especially if they're at least similar skill level. It's just kind of boring, so I'm not going to really show much more. I tried to push him out right there, try to take him down. I was just exhausted, and the big guy. So you can see right here how much bigger this guy was than me. Overall, no-gi went better than I expected. I expected to actually do much worse in no-gi just because I feel like gi's my specialty more. I like to play with the lapels and stuff like that. So I wasn't too upset about it, and I wanted to go against the bigger guy in gi and try to wrap him up and stuff like that. But one of the big things that came out of no-gi was I was just exhausted because I went through 2 matches of just 5 minutes of stand-up, which was just me having bad technique and stuff like that. So it ends up hurting my gi confidence going into it for sure. Like I wasn't able to I didn't even really go into any gi takedowns. I pulled guard most of the time just in order to save my endurance, and it worked out in some instances. In other instances, it didn't. So we'll jump into those now. So yeah, he actually does a pretty nice technique. He let me push into him and then just kind of rolled over and trapped my arms, which was pretty good on him, honestly. But I wasn't too worried. I started playing my open guard game, ended up getting him into like a spider guard scenario. So you can see right here I have a collar, a sleeve, and then my foot into his arm. There's a better technique. I should have pushed out his knee with my leg. I know my coach ended up saying it a bunch, but I don't normally play spider guard, but I kind of had him in an interesting situation where he couldn't really go much and go anywhere, and he actually seemed very uncomfortable in position as well. He made a big mistake here. He was pretty comfortable sitting there pulling back, but as soon as he put his knee on the ground, my favorite sweep was the scissor sweep and just took him down instantly. And I still had that sleeve grip, so I was able to really pull on that arm and not allow him to get any type of leg or be able to grab my leg with that arm or anything like that. So I started working my passes. I didn't want to let go of that sleeve grip. It was a very powerful one, and he couldn't really do much about it. So I stack him over, and then I ended up taking his back pretty much. Didn't really take the full back, but I was weaving my arm. So just a point here, I was already ready to start setting up attacks. And as I said, I like to hit these collar chokes and stuff like that. So you can see me weaving my arm under to grab this collar. I throw my leg over in order to control the waist. I grab the collar and I fall over and then get him in a bow and arrow choke. So after getting taken down in gi right after thinking I would actually do some gi throws, I basically lost all confidence in my my basic stand up. So I ended up pulling guard these next 3 or 4 matches. But I wasn't too worried about that. It didn't bother me. So at this point I was just like, screw this, I'm just gonna pull guard and play open guard. And I wasn't too worried. I was hooking his foot and stuff like that. I wasn't worried he was gonna pass. I had a bunch of little things I was playing with. And you can see here, it worked out pretty well. I had that foot locked around his hip, and like I said, like the scissor sweep, and I ended up kicking out his bottom leg and scissor sweeping him, taking him out. I don't end up getting the points. I get the points for the sweep, but I don't get the points for mount because he ended up getting half guard on me. I ended up playing a bunch of stuff here. In the end, this match, I ended up just racking up points on him, just trying to submit him and stuff. You can see I'm trying to isolate the arm here. He's rolling around, trying to get his guard back, which he did a pretty good job at trying to just make me uncomfortable on top. and basically didn't give me a chance to submit him and stuff like that. So he had me in half guard here. I was going through a sweep that I was shown by one of my coaches, Josh, where I'm going to grab over his arm and try to grab his gi bottom in order to really lock his hand in. One of the issues I'm having with this is that I'm not good at really changing the position in order to get my hand in a better spot. It's still isolated his wrist here, but I feel like I put my wrist in a bad spot sometimes because my wrist is also kind of isolated under his arm. But I do end up passing his guard and having a pretty compromised position. You can see here I'm grabbing his lapel and I'm going to go for a bread cutter choke. It wasn't the best because I didn't have his, he kind of had the gi pulled down, so I wasn't able to really get as much of basically the cutting motion. So I ended up giving up that in order to just go back to knee on belly. Ended up getting more points. But I wanted to mount and trying to go for submissions again. And I keep saying it because I know I went. That was one of the big things I came into this tournament trying to do, was trying to submit people. And this guy ends up getting out because of that. So I'm playing open guard. I'm not too worried. He's trying to do a bunch of quick passes, which doesn't really work because I keep my legs basically making contact on him. And I was able to navigate that and continue to isolate arms, trying to submit and trying to keep active and stuff like that, trying to not make it boring. I tried to head and arm choke him. I tried to pass guard, tried to isolate another arm. In the end, I ended up just winning by points and winning 20-0. So now we're gonna go into the absolute gi matches, which I was unfortunately tagged up against this guy again, this behemoth. But I kind of didn't mind. I went into it expecting to pull guard because, like I said, I wasn't doing very well. And I also saw his coach kind of coaching him up on some stuff because he was watching me during my gi matches. So I wasn't playing that game, and I didn't want to get thrown and then ransacked because the previous matches that this guy had, he just basically pressured people and didn't really submit anyone. He basically just crushed them and made them exhausted, which I didn't want to go through, which was probably a bad idea in the end because it ends up happening anyway. I was kind of disappointed in this performance because he ends up pressure smashing me, which was a really good move on his part, especially someone that big. It's a very good move. We ended up having to get reset in the middle, which I wasn't too happy about because my legs were not able to get the same positions that were there before, but it's nothing to complain about. So he easily passes me here, which I ended up getting half guard and ended up not giving him the points, but it's still not the best position for me. I'm not a big half guard player, but it avoids giving him the points. But he does end up passing me by basically grabs both my legs. And we fight there for a while. He ends up getting the pass, but still crushing me, not able to do much. He's trying to punch choke me here, which was very annoying because it wasn't actually choking me. He kind of put it against my face at first, then he got it to my jaw, and then he got it on my neck. When he got it to my neck, it was kind of a worrying situation. I was starting to think that I was going to have to tap, but I'd gotten tapped in the IBJJF tournament the year before from that, and I was like, I'm not going to tap to it. The one bad thing about surviving kind of a submission like this, it kind of takes a lot of energy out of you, and I couldn't really fight back much anymore. I wanted to get out. I was trying to go for a escape, but my brain wasn't working too great, and I wasn't doing the right techniques. I kept hooking this leg like an idiot. It wasn't doing anything. I really needed to bring my feet away and then try to get my knee under him. But like I said, I was kind of exhausted at that point and wasn't thinking properly. He does go for one more submission here. He tried to get me an Americana, but I ended up not giving in, ended up slipping out of his wrist. So as expected, I was pretty demoralized after that loss. I wanted to beat the guy pretty bad. I just lost to him in no-gi, and it was just a 5-minute stand-up. I thought I could do better and play my open guard game, but ended up getting smash passed and stuff like that. So I think that despite everything, I should have forced him to do some stand-up and get him tired because he didn't do the divisional matches, so he wasn't as tired as me. So I should have made him use some energy and then take it to the ground afterwards, but pulling guard that early allowed him to have all of his energy, and then he was able to just smash past me and use some good techniques to control me and stuff like that. So this is the last match here. You can see that pretty much they're wrapping up everything, literally the last mat going, and kind of aggravated at this point. I didn't want to lose the gi match and kind of demoralized, but I knew this guy was pretty exhausted, so I was trying to be aggressive and try to push the pace and not allow him to just sit back and kind of coast, which was a good idea, but once again, bad technique. Bad technique. All I did is kept trying to shuck him down without actually breaking his balance or anything like that, and it ended up not working out for a while. So I'm not going to show much of this match because it was literally just a push match where nothing really happens. I do go for a couple of takedowns, honestly, but I get one of those things that you have to understand when it comes to takedowns is you have to do the right technique or it kind of goes against you. So right here, this guy's pretty strong. I tried to pick up his leg, try to get his back, but I'm actually putting myself in a compromised position because I haven't off-balanced him. So me trying to go against someone, he's actually bigger than me. He competes at the 235 division. So me trying to just power out of him was not the right approach. I tried to trip him there, didn't work. You can see he's still pretty gassed. He's not doing any kind of action or anything like that. He's not being aggressive. And in the end, he's just kind of walking outside of the ring, which put me in a pretty pissed off mood at the end of the match because I kept chasing him because I can't remember exactly where. So that was a really nice, this was a pretty good one where I got him being lazy, but he ended up getting up and I ended up not getting the takedown points because I didn't capitalize on it. One good thing he ended up doing in this situation, he was realizing that I kept pulling him down, so he actually tried to use it to go into a single, which was actually pretty smart. And I realized that after he started doing it a couple of times, I was like, all right, well, I can't keep doing this to him because he's literally just launching his whole body weight into me every time I do it. Right here, I'm gonna try to get him for a takedown. He actually gets a leg and he gets a trip, which is pretty nice. But like I said, this guy was exhausted coming into this match, and I was kind of trying to play it. I tried to get him with the sweep, and then I knew he was being lazy. You could see him sitting here. He wasn't even trying to pass me, and I was like, all right, well, we're going to get back up and push the pace again. I was hoping my gas tank would beat him out, and then we come back up. Can't go anywhere because the freaking screen's right there. I'm still pushing the pace, trying to take him down. In the end, he has 2 points on me, and I know that I can't do anything outside of that. So I have his back here, but I couldn't lock my hands up, which was pretty frustrating. I should have just kept going after him right here, but I thought we were like resetting. I thought right here we were basically told to go back to the center, but no, he actually didn't. I should have just taken his back, and I was just dumb. Could have taken his back there and ended up getting 2 points and probably get points for the back and end up winning. You can see he's absolutely gassed here. I'm trying to push the pace, and he literally just keeps running out of the ring. So he just sat here the whole time, didn't try to pass or anything, and ends up winning the match. So if it's not obvious by now, what was definitely ugly was my stand-up. I need to come up with some better techniques and go into this with a little more confidence and actually go for some throws, go for some takedowns. So that was definitely in the ugly column, so I guess I'll go ugly. Overall, I had some good recoveries from getting taken down and also just pulling guard. I was able to play some good open guard and ended up getting some submissions from there. So I'll say that was good, yeah. But in the end, I didn't hit my goal of hitting 50% of submissions. I think I got 3, maybe 2. In the end, it wasn't enough to be 50%, so that's going to be a bad because it just wasn't a goal I was able to hit, and also didn't perform in the gi, which I was going and looking forward to, so that's still in the bad category. Another thing I want to put in the bad category was my cardio, because I was pretty gassed early on, and one of the things is that once you start using muscles and stuff like that, you only gas yourself further, and that was kind of what ended up happening. I started using bad techniques and trying to just force people down, and it got me in some bad situations where I just wasn't knowledgeable enough in takedowns and put myself in worse situations overall. Another bad thing that I need to correct going into the further tournaments is I need to go into it playing my own game. I need to not allow people to dictate the game I'm going to play. I need to go into it with more confidence. So when I'm getting pushed in the face and stuff like that, I don't need to get frustrated. I don't need to allow other matches in order to dictate how I'm going to perform in the next match. So whenever I lost in the gi absolute the first match, I shouldn't have allowed that to frustrate me enough to go into the next match and not really play my game the way I should have. So that's another thing I need to correct, and another thing that goes into the bad category. Overall, it was a learning experience though, and I can't really complain about the way I performed overall, just with the actual medals and stuff like that. I guess that was good, but the overall performance wasn't awful, and I think it made me realize some of the gaps in my game that I really need to address. Well, if you made it to this point, I appreciate you sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's definitely different content than what I normally do, and I know this setup's different. I haven't done this on a monitor before, or with this lighting and stuff. I hope it looks good, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week on Modern Mindset.